I encourage you to do something that will freak yourself out. 6 years ago in 2011, I came here as an exchange student. And I came all the way from Thailand, which has different culture, different practices, and different customs. Grew up being an Asian kid. I was really, really spoiled by my parents, and also I was the only child. My mom wouldn't let me do anything, so I had no responsibility at all. Kids in my country aren't even allowed to stay over at somebody else's home. So this was my first time being in somebody else's home. Different country, different language, different people, different family. So coming to America for the first time, I remember I could barely speak a word in English back then. I only know some, simple word like yes, no, okay, thank you, sorry, and all that. Going to school and everything is English. So what I'm saying is it was a huge shift for a 17 years old who came from totally a different part of the world. So first weekend, I had to admit it was really really uncomfortable for me. It was it was really awkward because I didn't know how to behave myself. Being in somebody else's house. It was like some silly stuff. Like I didn't know how to do the laundry because my mom would always does it for me, and like I was too afraid to open the fridge when I was so hungry, and I didn't know what to talk to them. I couldn't be either friendly or funny because back then my English wasn't this good. So for the first couple weeks it was really really tough being in America. Not only for me, some of my other friends as well that came at the same time as I did. And then back then I remember we were messaging each other if you guys are doing all right. Everybody was saying like the same thing, like they were having a hard time and everything. At the time coming to America was nowhere near what we expected at all. So it wasn't like what we saw in the movie, like New York City or like Hollywood, LA, something like that. So exchange student, they were sent to to a rural area, to the somewhere really really far away, like in the middle of nowhere. And sure enough, I was the only Asian, not only in the school but in the town. So everywhere I went, I remember people would just stare at me like, who is this Asian kid, like. And even now I come to visit, my mom just take me out to to the store, to supermarket or whatever, like people still like stare at me. So there's no diversity at all. There's like probably handful of black people, like no Asians, just white American native white people everywhere. But matter of fact, I think that was good because it was the it was a thing that I really really wanted, so I can learn about the people, I can learn about the cultures and everything they have. And that put me out of my comfort zone a big time. First month was tough, but things were getting better and better. And I think the only thing that helped me out a lot back then is the family. Everybody in the family was like really really nice to me. My host mom, my host dad, and my two other host sisters. And besides that, my family adopted two little boys. Yeah, we adopted two kids, like 5 years old boy and another 7 years old. And then I picked up a decent English probably because of them, because you know how kids will talk to you like the entire day, they will play with you, and I sort of play with them the whole day too. And then so I got to use my English a lot because of them. And after the first months passed, things started to settle down a little bit and became easier and easier for me. And I don't really know when and where I've changed. And all of a sudden, I just started doing things on my own, and I feel like I grew up so much as a person. And I think American culture teaches me how to be more independent, more self reliant, and one big thing for me was more self aware. And I realized that I have changed. I was aware that I was no longer the old me anymore. I've changed the way I act, the way I treat people, the way I talk to people, and I care less of how people think of me and more what I think of myself. So I went back to Thailand and I felt like I was a foreigner again. I lost a bunch of friends because they didn't like the way I acted, They didn't like the way I talked to them. And without a doubt, my mom and dad were shocked. They were so shocked of how much I've changed. Like, I wasn't their kids anymore. They have to knock on the door before coming to talk to me. I started to make a decision without asking for their permission. And it took some time for them to get used to, I would say, get used to a new me. And I think the point that I'm trying to make out of this video is not being afraid of changes. And trust me, I know how hard it is for people to get out of their comfort zone, and people, like some people don't like changes, and I get it. And for me coming here in 2011, it was tough at first, but it turned out being the best year of my life. Now, was I afraid? Yes, but I knew if I do it, I would be guaranteed with a lot of experience that I've never experienced before. I got to do a bunch of things that I've never done before in my life. I've got to see a lot of people, a lot of places that I've never been to, and I'm really big on that. So I encourage you to do something new, to talk to new people, to go somewhere new that you have never been to. Or if your friend don't do it with you, then do it alone. Go alone, like travel alone, eat alone, sleep alone, take yourself on date. And in the midst of this, I promise you, you'll figure yourself out. You will know what really inspires you. You will know what keep you stay up late at night, and you will know what keep you waking up early in the morning. And once you find it, you'll be sure of it. You won't be confused because you are sure of yourself.